Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to Football Discussions. Welcome back to another NFL mock draft. This is mock 10.0. It's going to be a pre-combine mock draft. Sorry, I haven't posted in a while. I'm sure you can still hear it in my voice. I've been on and off sick for a really long time, and school got a little busy, so it's been a minute since I posted. Also, we're doing a new format today. We're going away from the old format and trying the Draft Network website, which is this whole mock draft simulator. Lets you do it all. So shout out to them for making this like a really easy site to use. And yeah, that's about it for my intro. And then the other thing about this mock draft is it's not going to be your standard mock draft. There's a lot of trades that I made, a lot of stuff that went down, and I'll have all those details a little later on when those trades come about. But regardless, starting off with the number 1 overall pick, we're going to have the Cincinnati Bengals going Joe Burrow, quarterback out of LSU. Now, Joe Burrow, I'm not going to say much about it just due to the fact that I think he's proven what he can do throughout his senior year in college and how effective he could be slinging the rock. He's super accurate and all that. I've gone on that rant so many times, so I'm not going to say much about that. And then with the second overall pick, we're going to have Chase Young going to the Redskins, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Another guy that I'm not going to say much about just because I've said so much about him in the past. Really good edge rusher. Reminds me a lot of the Bosa's. I think he might be a little better than the Bosa's, but only in-game will tell us that. But regardless, super talented, and I think Washington's really looking for that premier pass rusher along their defensive line. So I like Chase Young to the Redskins. Here's our first trade. It's going to be the Miami Dolphins trading with the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions are doing a fantastic job at smoke screening right now. They're saying that they're really considering taking Tua Tagovailoa, a team or a quarterback that a lot of teams are looking forward to putting on their draft boards. Scouting heavily at the combine this week and really looking to make a play for in this draft. So I think while the Lions are putting up that smokescreen, I think there might be even some legitimacy to that, where they might be ready to move on from Matt Stafford and might go with a younger quarterback. So they're going to be getting a lot of offers for this number 3 overall pick, and usually I would just do that 5th overall pick and the 26th overall pick to the Lions. But since I think they're going to be getting a lot of juicy offers, I'm going to have the Miami Dolphins trading not only the 5th overall pick, but actually the 18th overall pick. So that's the details of this trade. They're going to move up and get their quarterback of the future, Tua Tagovailoa. Super good arm on this guy. Really good in the pocket, good pocket awareness, knows how to move around, evade defenders back there, and can really extend the play, which I think is what a lot of teams are looking for in a quarterback. So I like Tua a lot to the Dolphins. And then here, the Colts, after they see the Dolphins trade up for Tua, they're going to want to jump the Chargers, make sure they secure their quarterback of the future. And yes, while I know there's all the rumor and all the buzz about Jordan Love to the Colts, I think that what the Colts saw at the Senior Bowl, and there's been some rumors about this, is that they do like Justin Herbert better, and there still is some questions surrounding Jordan Love for the Colts. So I think the Colts move up here. They're going to trade. Sorry if I'm looking off to the side. It's just because I have my details here. They're going to trade their first and their 2 second-rounders for this pick to move up 9 spots to take the Giants pick, who have mentioned that they are willing to trade down. So they're going to get their guy Justin Herbert here. Maybe a guy that can sit under Jedrick Wills. Where's my mind at? Jacoby Brissett for a few years or for this 1 year, and then get into it. And if they're ready to start Herbert right away after training camp, then so be it. But I think Herbert is in a really good spot right now. Has probably him or Jordan Love as a toss-up for the best arm in this class. But I think Herbert showed that he's far more accurate and better at decision-making than Jordan Love, not only throughout the last season, but also at the Senior Bowl. And obviously the Combine will shift all this up, and this mock is going to change drastically after the Combine. But for right now, I have the Colts moving up, getting Justin Herbert here at 4. Now the Lions, who traded back a couple of spots, are still going to get the guy that they want most, and that's Jeff Okudah, cornerback out of Ohio State. Not going to say much about Okudah either, just because I've talked about him so much. Super good, great in man, great in zone, has all the intangibles you want in a cornerback, got those long arms, and great ball skills. So I like this pick a lot for the Lions. Now here, to me, the Chargers, and not only in this scenario, but I feel like just in general, they're going to make a play for a free agent quarterback. Whether that's a guy like Marcus Mariota, it could be Teddy Bridgewater, who they've shown interest in. So I feel like there's a lot of scenarios that can go down this offseason to make the Chargers get a quarterback before the draft. Now, that being said, I don't think they're going to steer clear of the quarterback position in this class, but for right now, they're going to get the player that they think can best help their team. And after Herbert and Tagovailoa are off the board, I think that's going to be Jedrick Wills, offensive tackle for the Chargers, or for Bama. Really good. I think he's a right tackle. Blocked Tua's blind side, obviously, being that Tua's a lefty. Really good strength. He's also an athlete, so I like this pick for the Chargers a lot. Now here, it's a toss-up between Derek Brown and Isaiah Simmons. Due to the fact that Luke Kuechly retired, I think it's going to be hard for the Panthers to pass up on a guy that's so versatile like Isaiah Simmons. However, their interior defensive lineman is weak, it is old, and they need to get younger and better at that position, and Derek Brown can provide that for the Panthers, and I think he's the pick here. Really good, can play 3-4 end, he can play nose tackle, super athletic, not only a great run stopper, but can get to the quarterback as well. So I like this pick a lot for the Panthers. Here at 8, now you did resign, DJ Humphries. The Cardinals did earlier this month, I want to say. And so that kind of gives you the luxury to maybe take offensive tackle with that second round pick. And maybe here you go wide receiver. Now, I've always mocked, or I had mocked forever, CeeDee Lamb to the Cardinals, and I'm actually going to do that again in this draft. I think it's a really solid pick for the Cardinals if they can pair up to Kyler Murray and CeeDee Lamb together in Arizona. I think that'd be a lot of fun to watch. And like I said, you re-signed Humphries, and now it's not saying that the Cardinals offensive line is perfect, because it's not by any means, but I still think that there's enough good tackles in this class where you can get a solid one at the 8 spot in the second round. So I think it's a luxury pick here for the Cardinals to get CeeDee Lamb, but I also think it can bring some explosiveness to their offense. At 9, we have the Jaguars going Isaiah Simmons. That one's kind of easy. One of my favorite players in this class. Super talented. Can play edge. Can play linebacker. Can play safety. Can play nickel. Really versatile. And I think it's an important position to have for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who do usually run a 3-4, because then you get now I can't think of Miles Jack, and Isaiah Simmons together. I think that's a really good pair for your interior linebackers, due to the fact that Telvin Smith, there's a big question mark around his name. Even so, if they do switch to a 4-3 after this year, there's going to be a lot of personnel changes on Jacksonville's defense. I think that Isaiah Simmons can still be off the ball outside linebacker, and you can keep Miles Jack at middle linebacker. So I think it's a great fit for the Jags. Here at 10, another trade. We have the Pats trading their first round this year and a first round next year, moving up 13 spots in this draft to get their quarterback of the future, and that would be Jordan Love. I'm just going to have to find him on here. Jordan Love, the next best quarterback, in my opinion. I think he's a solid player, great arm strength, like I was saying earlier. I think his decision-making is just the biggest question mark at the moment. But regardless, super good. Throwing it on the move. If I had to give him an NFL comp, it would be Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think he's anywhere near that level. But then again, Patrick Mahomes was raw coming out of college. So I think in Bill Belichick's scheme, decision-making can obviously be worked on, but that raw talent that Love has is, something special. So I think the Patriots are going to get their quarterback of the future. We don't really see the Patriots trade up all that much in the draft, but I feel like getting Jordan Love here is a necessity for the Patriots. I don't think Tom Brady is going to resign in New England. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like there's going to be some better offers around the league for Tom Brady, and I'll give my prediction right now. Actually, I do believe he's going to become a Las Vegas Raider. All signs point to him and Gruden making a good pair. Also, the Raiders have the best cap room in this class, or one of the best cap rooms in this free agency. They can definitely offer him the money he wants, and, they can bring in weapons. They have picks at 12 and 19 where they can be like, we're going to get a guy like Jerry Jeudy. We can get a guy like Henry Ruggs. And I don't think that the Patriots, might go that route because, yes, he does want talent around him, but can the Patriots re-sign Tom Brady and also bring in a guy like AJ Green or Hunter Henry this offseason? No. So I really think that it's the end of an era in New England. And I'm sorry, Patriots fans. I know I'm probably angering you guys, or you've already clicked off the video, but that's just my little spiel on Tom Brady and why the Patriots would move up here for Jordan Love at 10. At 11 here, I'm going to go offensive tackle for the Jets and get the next best offensive tackle in this class to me, and that's Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. This guy's an overall beast. His size is insane. He's 6'7" and 369 pounds. You can see that right up there. And his athleticism is not to be overshadowed. He can really move around, pull. If you want to move him into guard, he's versatile. He can do all of that. I think he's a good fit in New York. And I always say, and I've said this about the Cardinals pick sometimes too, when you have such a young quarterback who's, a little raw coming out of college, you need to defend him or protect him, sorry. And the Jets really haven't done a good job at that because right now they have Ghost playing offensive tackle over in New York. And I think, yes, Jerry Jeudy is such an enticing pick. Getting Sam Darnold the weapon would be so good. But for right now, I feel like you have to protect him. It's a deep wide receiver class. You can go wide receiver later, but you got to go Mekhi Becton here at 11. At 12, the Raiders are going to get the best wide receiver available and probably in this class. I just think that pairing CD with Kyler is too good to pass up on for the Cardinals to take Jeudy over. But Jerry Jeudy to the Raiders, really good route runner, can run those deep routes. He's really good at medium and short as well. Super talented, and I think it's a good fit for whoever is throwing the ball to him next year. Obviously the Raiders, regardless of the quarterback play, is going to need some targets, and I think that Jerry Jeudy's a solid fit here. Now this works out for the Giants because they obviously want Chase Young. I feel like that's their number one player on their draft board, but it's pretty clear that they're not going to get that unless they want to haul or trade up a haul to get to the number 2 spot with the Redskins. But even then, interdivisional trading doesn't really happen in the draft. But regardless, you could go worse and you could go Thomas, but I feel like you want to get an athletic edge rusher, someone that you need along your defense because, the pressure really wasn't there for the Giants last year. And that's going to be K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher out of LSU. Super talented player in him. I like him a lot, and I think he's explosive off the edge. His technique is a little raw, but that can be taught. There's not a lot of edge rushers with his physique and athleticism in this draft class, and I think the Giants are going to be really intrigued by K'Lavon, so I like that pick a lot for the Giants at 13. Not to mention they have a second and third round, a new second round pick from that trade with the Colts, or 2 new second-round picks from that trade with the Colts. So they have a lot of picks later in the draft where they can sort out their offensive line, get wide receivers and all that. So I like this pick a lot for the Giants. At 14, I think it's going to be Javon Kinlaw. I think offensive tackle is going to be enticing for the Buccaneers, but I think Javon Kinlaw is the best player left here in this scenario. Super good interior defensive line. Vita Vea needs some help along that interior defensive line, and getting Javon Kinlaw along with Vita Vea and Shaq Barrett, if they can re-sign him as well, would make this defensive line lethal in Tampa Bay. And I feel like if they can get Jameis Winston or maybe get a free agent quarterback throwing the ball very well next year in Tampa Bay, then this team can be very good as a whole. So I think it's an exciting time in Tampa Bay, and Javon Kinlaw is the best player to get here. Now, this is tricky because Andrew Thomas and Tristan Wirfs are both on the board, but so is Henry Ruggs. So it's, a toss-up right now of whether the Broncos want to go wide receiver or want to go O-tackle. And I'll say this, wide receiver is very deep in this class. And I feel like they can get a wide receiver with their second-round pick and go offensive tackle here now. Michael Pittman's going to be available. There's guys like Tyler Johnson, Jalen Reagor, KJ Hamler, who can all be available in the second round, who would normally be first round talents and maybe are first round talents in any other draft. So I think that they have to go offensive tackle here, and to me, Andrew Thomas is the better one. He plays that blind side. Garrett Bowles, didn't have the worst end of the season last year, but his entire run in Denver hasn't been that impressive. And getting a young offensive tackle in Andrew Thomas, I feel like is the most important piece for Denver right now. Here at 16, edge is going to be the clear-cut pick for the Falcons, and AJ Epineza is the best one available. Another super talented player, a player that I'm a really big fan of. AJ Epineza has been high on my draft board since the start of this college football season. Super talented, also a great run stopper. Pass rush, I think K'Lavon and Chase Young have the leg up on AJ Epineza, but as an all-around player, I really like Epineza, and I feel like he's a good fit in that Falcon scheme. Here at 17, it's going to be secondary, and I would love to go Xavier McKinney. I feel like that's a solid pick, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, Byron Jones is obviously going to be not re-signed if they re-sign Dak and Amari Cooper. So I feel like they're going to have to go corner here. Yes, Jeff Heath is getting old and may not even be on the team, but it's a good safety class. So I'm going to go Christian Fulton here for the Cowboys. I think it's a solid pick. Talented player, did get a little toast in that championship game, but his overall career at LSU has been impressive. Played very well. It's either him or CJ Henderson here, but I think Christian Fulton has the leg up on the whole tackling aspect of the game. So I think it's a solid pick for the Cowboys to get Christian Fulton at 17. Now here at 18, it's another tricky pick for me because I could go edge, but I don't really see the Lions doing that. There's not a lot of edge talent left available here in the first round. Maybe Yetur Gross-Matos can be the guy, but to me right now, I'm thinking linebacker for the Lions. They could have gone Isaiah Simmons with that 5th overall pick, but instead I feel like they're going to go Kenneth Murray, who's kind of falling down TDN's board here, but regardless, I like Kenneth Murray a lot. Super good player, more of a run stopper than anything else, but Jelani Tavai is not the worst pass cover in the world, so if you want to slide him to be your more pass coverage based linebacker, and then you have this hard hitter in Kenneth Murray, I feel like that's a great pick for the Lions here at 18. Now at 19, back-to-back linebackers going off the board here. It's going to be Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. It's going to be a good first round for the Raiders. You get Jerry Jeudy, you get Patrick Queen, two players that are going to make an immediate impact on your offense and then your defense. Patrick Queen is a great coverage linebacker, really a ball hawk against tight ends and running backs, so I think he's a solid fit. And even held his own against some slot wide receivers this year, which you don't really see linebackers doing. So I think Patrick Queen is a good fit in Oakland, or Las Vegas, pardon me. And then here at 20, while cornerback I think is more of a need due to the absence of Jalen Ramsey, I think that safety there's more talent here, and I think Xavier McKinney is going to be the pick for the Jaguars. Super talented. He played box linebacker at Alabama as well. Hard hitter, but also great in coverage. I think it's a solid pick for the Jaguars, who can even slide him down to box linebacker as well. If they want to put Isaiah Simmons at edge for some plays, which he's more than capable of doing. So I think getting Isaiah Simmons and Xavier McKinney, two players that you can really play with and move around, and not to mention Xavier McKinney can even play that nickel cornerback role, is going to be a solid first round for the Jaguars. Here at 21, I would go cornerback just because the cornerback room in Philadelphia was burnt toast last year, but I feel like Henry Ruggs is the better player, best player available at this point, and he's a really speed burner. Said he was confident in beating the 40-yard dash record today, so we'll see how that plays out on Thursday, which I'm very excited for. But regardless, I think it's a solid pick to get Henry Ruggs here at 21. Now, I'm going to go back-to-back wide receivers here. Yeah, edge might be the pick for the Bills here at 22. You could go Yetur Gross-Matos, but to me, I'm going best player available, and to me, that's Laviska Shenault right now. Another wide receiver, really good wide receiver, but he's kind of the opposite of Henry Ruggs. Yes, he has speed, but he also, plays physically, goes up and gets jump balls. Also, really good at the deep route. So I think he's going to be a solid player that Josh Allen, can grow into the NFL with. While Allen is progressing, Laviska Shenault will be progressing. I think they're just going to mesh really well in Buffalo if this plays out. Here at 23, they're going to go offensive tackle. It's going to be Tristan Wirfs falling all the way to 23, steal of the draft right there. A very talented player. Definitely should not have fallen this far, but just the way everything played out, that's how the scenario unraveled. But regardless, Tristan Wirfs, super good. Big fan of his. I like him a lot. And I think it's a solid pick for the Browns to get him at 23 here. 24 overall, I'm bringing the local boy, or keeping the local boy local, and that's going to be Justin Jefferson going to the New Orleans Saints here at 24. A really solid player. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he was able to do. He wasn't a highly touted recruit out of Louisiana, and coming into a program like LSU and making his way up the depth chart, and then having one of the best statistical seasons we've seen out of an LSU receiver ever since OBJ and Jarvis Landry, is a really solid position for him to be in right now. And I think he's definitely worth the first round pick. And getting Drew Brees, a guy in his last year, possibly, in the NFL, a guy like Justin Jefferson is super important to me, and it will just open up a wide variety of things that the New Orleans Saints can do on this offense. Instead of throwing it to Michael Thomas every play, now you have another versatile wide receiver. You also have a guy like Traquan Smith, who's another really good wide receiver, more of a slot type guy. So, and Jefferson can even play the slot as well. So, I think it's a solid fit in New Orleans. Here at 25, I think Xavier Rhodes is also burnt toast, and getting a guy like C.J. Henderson is the best case scenario here for the Vikings. Super solid player. I'm a big fan of his. Blanket coverage, I say his only knock is his tackling ability, but regardless of that, I think he's, like I said, super solid, and I think it's a solid fit in Minnesota. Here at 26, the Dolphins with their second pick in the first round, running back could be the move. They could go DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, both really good players. Edge could be the move. Yeturgos Matos is still here. And then offensive tackle could also be the move. Got a guy like Josh Jones, and I think that's going to be the pick. I like Josh Jones a lot. Another guy with really good size here, 6'5", 311 pounds, but he's also, I think, the most athletic tackle in this class. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he can move around, and he's probably no Laramie Tunsil, but he'll do enough to protect Tua Tagovailoa in his first year, and I think he can really solidify himself as a starter in this league. Here at 27, I'm going to go Seahawks going Yeturgos Matos, another player that I like a lot. He has some off the field issues, but from what I've heard, the interviews have gone great. Everyone seems to love this guy's character, so I think it's a solid pick here for the Seahawks to go Yeturgos Matos. Like I said, his size is not the best and his speed isn't the best, but when he's on the field, he's super talented, can get to the quarterback, also a great run stopper. So I like him a lot for the Seahawks. Here at 28, I have the Ravens going Terrell Lewis, another solid edge rusher. Who can really play, is a really athletic edge rusher. He can get to the quarterback very well, plays very, has good technique. He's not really that physical, and I think he's going to be, a project for the Ravens to work on. But if they do end up franchise tagging Matthew Judon, that will at least buy him a year of having Terrell Lewis as a rotational player. So I think that can buy them some time. Let Terrell Lewis grow under these really good edge rushers already at Baltimore, and I think it's a solid fit. And then here we have the Chargers trading back up into the first round. If they do get a limited time replacement for Phillip Rivers and miss out on getting Herbert or Tua in the top 6, I think they're going to have to trade back up here, and I think they're going to be trading their second round, a third, the 37th overall pick, which is their second round, and a third this year and a third next year. So that's the trade for the Chargers to swap with the Titans, who edge is their biggest need. But I feel like now that Terrell Lewis and Yeturgos Matos are off the board, there's really no point in the Titans being making a play for one of those guys right now. So they're going to go Jacob Eason here, quarterback out of Washington, a guy that has John Elway type size, and I say that because John Elway loves his tall quarterbacks. Guy's 6'6", 227 pounds, built really well, and also can move in the pocket. I think it's a solid player to grow and develop on your bench, riding behind Tyrod Taylor, riding behind Teddy Bridgewater, riding behind Marcus Mariota, whoever is throwing the ball in Los Angeles last year. If this scenario plays out, I think it's good that you have Eason in your back pocket where you can pull him out and play him at any point in the season, and also let him grow and develop and not necessarily have to jump into the starting role right away. So I like this trade up for the Chargers here, getting their franchise quarterback of the future, hopefully, in Jacob Eason. And then here at 30, there's a lot of different routes that I would have the Packers going, but I think T. Higgins is the guy. I like Higgins better than Rico. I know their order is not, according to what I'm saying, but in my opinion, I think Higgins is the better guy. Plays more physically than any other wide receiver left on the board. Maybe Ayuk is a little more physical, but Ayuk is even more of a speed burner now that I'm thinking about it. So I think Higgins is the guy that really fits the Packers type scheme. Getting him alongside Devontae Adams is similar to getting Justin Jefferson alongside Michael Thomas. I think it's a solid fit. Gives these older quarterbacks someone to throw to besides, their number one target. And I think that's a really important thing in the NFL. You can't just be throwing to the same guy, regardless of how good he is every play. And I think getting T. Higgins and getting Justin Jefferson are good moves for the Packers and the Saints. Then here at 31, cornerback board is a little dry. So I think that the 49ers are going to take a luxury pick here and get Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. Great range. His tackling was a question mark this year, but it was one of the best in his sophomore season. He was probably the best tackling safety in the country that year. So I think it's a solid pick for the 49ers to get Grant Delpit here at 31. And then finally, with the last pick in the first round, to wrap up our mock, we're going to go running back here, and the Chiefs are going to get their running back of the future in DeAndre Swift. Solid player. Really versatile and a really fun pick for the Chiefs here. Getting a player that can replace the gaping hole that they haven't been able to fill since Jamal Charles has retired and left the Chiefs organization. So I think getting a running back to pair alongside Patrick Mahomes will make that offense even more versatile and even more hard to defend next year, and it will let Andy Reid play around a little bit. So I think it's a solid first round pick to get a running back for the Chiefs. So a quick recap here. We have Joe Burrow going first, Chase Young second, Tua third, Herbert fourth in that trade, Okuda fifth, Wills sixth, Derek Brown seventh, CeeDee Lamb eighth, Isaiah Simmons ninth. Patriots trade up, get their guy Jordan Love at 10, Mekhi Becton here at 11 for the Jets, Jerry Jeudy at 12, Kayvon Chason at 13, Javon Kinlaw at 14, Andrew Thomas at 15, AJ Epineza at 16, Christian Fulton at 17, Kenneth Murray at 18, Patrick Queen at 19, back-to-back linebackers there, Xavier McKinney at 20, Henry Ruggs at 21, Laviska Shenault at 22, Tristan Wirfs at 23, Jefferson at 24, Henderson at 25, Josh Jones at 26, Yeturgros Matos at 27. The Ravens get Terrell Lewis, Chargers get Jacob Eason, T. Higgins to the Packers at 30, Grant Delpit to the 49ers at 31, and DeAndre Swift wraps up our mock draft at 32 to the Chiefs. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I know that was kind of a crazy draft, but it was meant to be like that. I wanted to have a little fun with all the trades being made, and obviously some of those probably aren't the most realistic, but I like it a lot. It was a fun mock for me to do, and I'm glad to be back. We're going to get up a realistic post-combine mock draft right away on that Monday, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Peace.